The mafia doesn't kill you when you talk. It kills everyone you love. That's the first lesson I learned, though by the time I understood it, it was already too late. My name doesn't matter anymore. The woman I was died years ago. But the story I'm about to tell you, this happened. Every word of it. I met Vincent Marcello on a Tuesday in September 1985. I was 23 years old, working as a hostess at Rouse in East Harlem. If you know anything about New York, you know Rouse. 10 tables, impossible to get into, the kind of place where Frank Sinatra used to eat, where wise guys conducted business over veal parmigiana and wine that cost more than my monthly rent. Vincent walked in that night like he owned the place. Maybe he did. I learned later that the Marcello family had interests in half the restaurants in Harlem and the Bronx. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with dark hair slicked back and eyes that looked right through you. Not at you, through you, like he could see every secret you'd ever kept. Table for one, he said. I remember thinking that was strange. Men like him never ate alone. I'm sorry, sir, we're fully booked tonight, I started to say, but the owner, Anthony, appeared beside me so fast I nearly jumped. Mr. Marcello, of course, right this way. Your usual table. Vincent smiled at me then. Not a big smile, just the corner of his mouth lifting slightly, like we were sharing a private joke. What's your name? He asked. Catherine. Cat, Cat, he repeated, like he was tasting the word. I'll see you again, Cat. He did. 3 nights later, he came back. Asked for me specifically. Left me a $100 tip on a $50 meal. A week after that, he asked me to dinner. Not at Rouse. Somewhere private. Somewhere we could talk. I should have said no. Every instinct I had told me this man was dangerous. But there was something magnetic about Vincent Marcello. He made you feel like you were the only person in the world when he looked at you. Like your thoughts mattered. Like you mattered. Our first real conversation happened at a small Italian place in Little Italy. The owner greeted Vincent with a kiss on both cheeks, and we were escorted to a back room I didn't even know existed. Just us. Wine. Candlelight. What do you do, Vincent? I asked. He smiled. Import and export. Family business. What do you import? Opportunity. He leaned back, studying me. You're not from New York originally, are you? Pennsylvania. Small town. I came here for school. Stayed for the dream. I laughed, but it sounded bitter even to my own ears. Hostessing at a restaurant wasn't exactly the dream. What was the dream? Teaching. Literature. I wanted to open minds, you know? Show kids that books could take them anywhere. Vincent nodded slowly. You still can. Not on a hostess salary in New York City. He reached across the table, took my hand. His fingers were warm, strong. What if I told you I could help with that? I'd ask what you wanted in return. Dinner. Tomorrow night. And the night after that. His thumb traced circles on my palm. I want to know you, Cat. Everything about you. I should have pulled my hand away. I should have walked out. But I didn't. God help me, I didn't. 6 months later, we were engaged. A year after that, married in a ceremony that looked like something from The Godfather. 300 guests. Politicians. Judges. Business owners. Men in expensive suits who spoke in whispers and watched everything with cold, calculating eyes. My mother flew in from Pennsylvania, took one look at the guest list, and pulled me aside. Catherine Marie, what have you gotten yourself into? I'm in love, Mom. Love? She gripped my shoulders. These people, they're not like us. Vincent is good to me. He's generous, he's kind. He's a criminal, baby. Can't you see that? I pulled away from her. You don't know him. You don't know anything about him. But she was right. I just wasn't ready to admit it yet. The first year of marriage was beautiful. Vincent bought us a brownstone in Brooklyn, the kind of place I used to walk past and dream about living in. 4 bedrooms, original molding, a garden in the back. He hired a decorator, told me to pick whatever I wanted. Money was never discussed. It just appeared, endless, like a river that never ran dry. He was gone a lot. Business, he'd say, kissing me goodbye at strange hours. Sometimes he'd leave at midnight, come home at dawn smelling like cigar smoke and cologne. But when he was home, he was completely present. We'd cook together, make love, talk about the future. About children. About growing old together. I want to give you everything, he'd whisper in the dark. Everything you've ever wanted. I just want you, I'd whisper back. And I meant it. God, I meant it. The first crack in the facade came 14 months into our marriage. Vincent came home at 4 in the morning with blood on his shirt. Not a lot, just a few drops on the collar, like he'd cut himself shaving. But Vincent didn't shave at 4 in the morning. I was in the kitchen, couldn't sleep. He didn't see me at first. I watched him go straight to the laundry room, strip off the shirt, shove it into a garbage bag. Then he noticed me standing in the doorway. Cat, what are you doing up? Couldn't sleep. Vincent, is that blood? He looked down at his hands, then back at me. For the first time since I'd known him, I saw fear in his eyes. Not fear of me, fear for me. Go back to bed, he said quietly. What happened? Go back to bed. I didn't move. We stood there, staring at each other across the dim laundry room, and something shifted between us. The fairy tale cracked. Reality leaked through. You don't ask questions in the Mafia, he finally said. My heart stopped. The Mafia? Cat, are you telling me you're in the Mafia? He stepped toward me. I stepped back. I'm telling you that there are things you don't need to know. Things that keep you safe. The moment you know, the moment you can identify people, places, operations, you become a liability. And liabilities, they get eliminated. Do you understand? You're scaring me. Good. His voice was hard now, nothing like the gentle man who whispered sweet things in the dark. You should be scared, scared enough to stop asking questions. Scared enough to keep your mouth shut and live the good life I've given you. I never asked for this. Yes, you did, the moment you said yes to dinner. The moment you married me. You knew what I was, Cat. Maybe not the details, but you knew. Don't stand there and pretend you're some innocent victim. The words hit me like a slap. Because he was right. I had known, not the specifics, but I'd known something was off. The cash, the late nights, the way people looked at him, that mixture of respect and terror. I'd chosen to ignore it because the alternative meant giving up the life, the love, the dream. I'd sold my soul and convinced myself I was just falling in love. Vincent left the next morning without saying goodbye. He was gone for 3 days. When he came back, there were flowers, jewelry, apologies. He held me and cried, actually cried, and told me he never wanted to scare me again. I love you, he said. More than anything in this world. But Cat, you have to trust me. When I tell you not to ask, don't ask. When I tell you to stay quiet, stay quiet. It's the only way I can protect you. Protect me from what? From my world. I should have left then. Packed a bag, called my mother, disappeared into a normal life with a normal man and normal problems. But I didn't. I stayed. I told myself love was enough. That Vincent would eventually leave that world, that we'd move somewhere quiet and safe and raise our children away from all of this. I was so naive. The second incident happened 6 months later. I was shopping in Manhattan, expensive boutiques in Soho where the salespeople knew my name and Vincent's credit card number. I was trying on a dress when I heard voices outside the dressing room. Mrs. Marcello, there's a gentleman here to see you. I came out to find a man I'd never seen before. Thin, nervous looking, maybe 40. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Mrs. Marcello, pleasure to meet you. I'm Detective James Reeves, FBI. My blood went cold. I'm shopping. I can see that. Beautiful dress. Your husband has excellent taste. Then again, Vincent Marcello always did appreciate beautiful things. I turned to the saleswoman. I'll take this one. Charge it to the usual account. Of course, Mrs. Marcello. Detective Reeves followed me to the counter. I was hoping we could talk. I have nothing to say to you. Not even about the shipment that came through Red Hook last Tuesday? Or the meeting at the social club on Mulberry Street? Or maybe about Frank Costello Jr. and his very unfortunate accident last month? I signed the receipt with a shaking hand. I don't know what you're talking about. No? Interesting. Because we have photos of your husband at every one of those locations. We know what he does, Mrs. Marcello. We know about the heroin pipeline from Miami to New York. We know about the protection rackets, the illegal gambling, the money laundering through legitimate businesses. We know everything. Then why are you talking to me? He leaned in close, lowering his voice. Because knowing and proving are two different things. We need someone on the inside. Someone he trusts. Someone he talks to. I grabbed my bag and headed for the door. He followed. Think about it, Mrs. Marcello. You're young. You could have a whole life ahead of you. But if you stay with Vincent, if he goes down and you're still connected, you go down too. Conspiracy. Accessory. Money laundering. You're looking at 20 years, minimum. I stopped, turned to face him. Are you threatening me? I'm offering you a way out. Before it's too late. Go to hell. I walked away, hailed a cab, gave the driver my address. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely open my purse. The FBI. They were watching us. Watching Vincent. Which meant they were watching me. When I got home, Vincent was in his study. I knocked, waited for him to tell me to come in. He was on the phone, speaking in rapid Italian. When he saw me, he held up one finger, kept talking. I heard names I didn't recognize, numbers that seemed too large to be anything legal. He hung up, smiled. How was shopping, baby? Vincent, we need to talk. His smile faded. What happened? I told him everything. The detective, the conversation, the threats. By the time I finished, Vincent's face was stone. What did you tell him? Nothing. I told him to go to hell. He came around the desk, pulled me into his arms. I could feel his heart racing. You did good, Kat. You did so good. Vincent, I'm scared. I know. But listen to me. He pulled back, held my face in his hands. Those FBI pricks, they're fishing. They don't have anything solid, or they wouldn't be harassing my wife in a dress shop. They want to scare you, turn you against me. But you're stronger than that, aren't you? I don't know what I am anymore. You're my wife. You're loyal. You're family. He kissed my forehead. And family, we protect each other. No matter what. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay next to Vincent, listening to him breathe, and tried to reconcile the two men I knew. The tender husband who brought me coffee in bed. The violent criminal who came home with blood on his shirts. How could both exist in the same person? Around 3 in the morning, I got up, went to his study. I told myself I was just looking for aspirin, but that was a lie. I was looking for the truth. For proof that maybe the FBI was wrong, that Vincent was just a businessman who happened to know some questionable people. I found his ledgers in the bottom drawer of his desk. Columns of numbers, names, dates. I didn't understand most of it, but some things were clear. Cash payments in the hundreds of thousands. Shipments from Miami and Colombia. Distribution networks across the East Coast. Protection payments from restaurants, shops, construction companies. And then I found the photographs. Men I recognized from our wedding. Laughing, drinking, celebrating. Except in these photos, they weren't celebrating. They were conducting business. Vincent handing over a briefcase. Vincent meeting with men who looked like they'd kill you for looking at them wrong. Vincent at the docks, watching as crates were loaded onto trucks. The last photograph was the worst. Vincent and another man, standing over a third man who was kneeling, bound, terrified. Vincent's hand was on the kneeling man's shoulder. Almost gentle, almost kind. I knew what happened next. I could see it in the doomed man's eyes. I put everything back exactly as I'd found it, went to the bathroom, and threw up. Vincent found me on the bathroom floor 20 minutes later. Kat? Jesus, Kat, what's wrong? Stomach bug, I managed. Must have been something I ate. He carried me back to bed. Got me water, stayed with me until I fell asleep. The whole time, I kept thinking about that photograph. About the man on his knees. About Vincent's gentle hand on his shoulder, right before the end. The next morning, I called my mother. I need to come home. Thank God. When? I don't know. Soon. I need to figure out how. You buy a plane ticket and you leave, Catherine. It's that simple. But it wasn't. It wasn't simple at all. Over the next few months, I started paying attention. Really paying attention. The phone calls Vincent took in the other room. The men who came to the house for meetings. The envelopes full of cash that appeared and disappeared. The fear in people's eyes when Vincent walked into a room. I learned the structure, even though no one ever explained it to me. Vincent was a capo, a captain in the Luciano family. He ran heroin from Miami through New York, coordinated with other families, made sure everyone got their cut and kept their mouths shut. Above him was Frank Costello Jr., the underboss. Above Frank was the boss himself, Old Man Luciano, though everyone just called him the man. Below Vincent were soldiers, men who did the actual work, the dirty work. Men like Tommy Battaglia and Sal Russo and Johnny Strings. Men who made people disappear when they became problems. I was living in a machine designed to generate money and eliminate obstacles. And I'd married the man who kept the machine running. In December, Vincent threw a Christmas party. The whole house was decorated like something from a magazine. Caterers, bartenders, a pianist in the living room playing Sinatra. All the important people came. The Luciano family, associates from other families, politicians I recognized from the news. A judge who'd recently dismissed charges against one of Vincent's soldiers. I played the perfect hostess. Smiled, made small talk, pretended I didn't know that half the people in my house were murderers and thieves. Detective Reeves' words kept echoing in my head. You're looking at 20 years minimum. Around midnight, I went to the kitchen to check on the caterers. I heard voices coming from Vincent's study. The door was slightly open. I knew I shouldn't listen. Knew it was dangerous, but I couldn't stop myself. The Miami connection is getting sloppy, someone was saying. I recognized the voice. Frank Costello Jr. lost 2 shipments this month alone. That's $500,000 down the drain. I'll handle it, Vincent said. You better. The man is not happy. He thinks maybe you're not controlling your people the way you should. My people are solid, are they? Because I heard Tommy Battaglia's been shooting his mouth off at that club in Queens. Talking about the operation, bragging to some girl he's trying to impress. Silence. Then Vincent's voice, cold as ice. I'll talk to Tommy. Talking isn't going to fix this, Vinny. You know what needs to be done. Tommy's been with me for 10 years. He's loyal. Loyal men don't run their mouths. Loyal men don't put the family at risk. Frank's voice softened slightly. I know he's your friend. But this isn't about friendship. It's about survival. Tommy becomes a problem, Tommy gets solved. That's the rule. You know that. I didn't hear Vincent's response. I was already backing away from the door, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might break through my ribs. Tommy Battaglia. I'd met him a dozen times. Nice guy, always smiling, always respectful. He had a wife and 2 little girls. I'd seen pictures. They were going to kill him. I made it to the bathroom just in time. Threw up again, champagne and hors d'oeuvres, everything. When I came out, Vincent was waiting in the hallway. You okay? Just tired. Too much champagne. He studied my face, and I saw the moment he knew. Knew I'd heard something. Maybe not what, but something. Cat, I need to lie down. Cat, look at me. I met his eyes. I'm tired, Vincent, that's all. He let me go. I locked myself in our bedroom and didn't come out until the party was over. Until all the guests had left and the house was silent. Vincent came to bed around 4 in the morning. I pretended to be asleep. 3 days later, Tommy Battaglia's body was found in a dumpster in Queens. Single gunshot to the back of the head. The news called it a mob hit. The police said they had no leads. Tommy's wife held a press conference, begging anyone with information to come forward. I watched it on TV while Vincent was out. Watched her cry, watched her daughters cling to her. Confused and terrified. And I knew Vincent had given the order. Maybe hadn't pulled the trigger himself, but might as well have. That night, I told him I wanted to visit my mother. For how long? Just a week, maybe 2. I haven't seen her since the wedding. Vincent considered this, nodded slowly. Okay, but Kat, you know you can't talk about my business with anyone. Not even your mother. I know, I'm serious. The walls have ears. The FBI, they're watching. Listening. Waiting for someone to make a mistake. I understand. Do you? He took my hand, and his grip was just a little too tight. Because if you did something stupid, if you talked to the wrong people, I couldn't protect you. Not from the FBI. Not from the family. You understand that, right? I understood perfectly. He was telling me that if I talked, I was dead. I left for Pennsylvania the next morning. Vincent drove me to the airport, kissed me goodbye, told me he loved me. I said it back because I'd said it so many times it was automatic. But I didn't feel it anymore. I felt hollow, Empty. My mother knew something was wrong the moment she saw me. Catherine, my God, you look terrible. Thanks, Mom. I'm serious. What's happened? I told her everything. The blood on Vincent's shirt. The FBI agent. The ledgers. The photograph. Tommy Battaglia. All of it. She listened without interrupting, and when I finished, she was crying. You have to leave him. It's not that simple. Yes, it is. You pack your things, you file for divorce, you start over. He'll never let me leave. And even if he did, the FBI, they think I'm involved. They'll arrest me too. Then you make a deal. You tell them what you know in exchange for immunity. If I do that, Vincent will kill me. Or the family will. Mom, you don't understand how this works. Once you're in for life. The only way out is in a body bag. She grabbed my shoulders, shook me slightly. So you're going to go back? Pretend everything's fine? Live with a murderer and wait for the day the FBI kicks down your door? I don't know what I'm going to do. But I was lying. I already knew. I stayed in Pennsylvania for 10 days. I thought about running, changing my name, disappearing to California or Texas or somewhere Vincent would never find me. But I knew better. The Mafia had reach, had connections, had men in every city who owed them favors. There was only one way out. Only one way to survive this. I had to make a deal with the devil. When I got back to New York, I didn't go home. I went straight to the FBI field office in Manhattan. Asked to speak to Detective Reeves. They made me wait for 2 hours in a sterile room that smelled like industrial cleaner and bad coffee. When Reeves finally walked in, he didn't look surprised. Mrs. Marcello, I was wondering when you'd show up. I want immunity. Full immunity from prosecution for anything related to Vincent's activities. In exchange for what? Everything. Names, dates, locations, operations. I'll wear a wire if you want. I'll testify in court. I'll give you Vincent, Frank Costello Jr., the whole organization. But I walk away clean, and you put me in witness protection. Reeves sat down across from me, studying my face. What changed your mind, Tommy Battaglia? He nodded slowly. That was a shame. Nice guy. Family man. Vincent ordered it. Can you prove that? Not directly. But I heard Frank Costello Jr. tell Vincent to handle it. 3 days later, Tommy was dead. That's not a coincidence. No, it's not. But it's also not enough for a murder charge. He leaned forward. Here's what we need, Mrs. Marcello. We need you to get us concrete evidence. Recordings of Vincent discussing specific crimes. Documents linking him to drug shipments. Witness testimony about meetings, payments, criminal activities. How long? 6 months. Maybe less if you're good at this. 6 months of lying to my husband. 6 months of betraying the man I'd once loved. 6 months of risking my life every single day. And then I disappear? New name, new life, no contact with anyone from before? That's how witness protection works. I thought about my mother. About never seeing her again. About erasing Catherine Marcello and becoming someone else entirely. Okay, I'll do it. They fitted me with a wire the next day. Taught me how to turn it on, how to guide conversations toward incriminating topics, how to stay calm when I was terrified. They gave me a phone number to call in case of emergencies, and they reminded me over and over, if Vincent finds out, you're dead. The first time I wore the wire home, I almost threw up in the cab. My hands were shaking so badly I couldn't get my key in the lock. Vincent opened the door before I could manage it. There you are. I missed you, baby. He pulled me into his arms, and I felt the wire taped to my ribs, hidden under my shirt. If he hugged me too tight, he'd feel it. If he wanted to make love right now, he'd see it. I missed you too. He kissed me, deep and possessive. How was your mother? Good. Worried about me, but good. I told you, you're too skinny. She's probably trying to fatten you up. He led me inside, closed the door. Frank wants to meet tonight. Business. I should be back by midnight. This was my opening. Everything okay with the business? Yeah, why? I don't know. You seem stressed lately. Vincent poured himself a scotch, offered me one. I declined. Couldn't risk alcohol making me sloppy, making me forget to be careful. It's the Miami situation. The connection down there, they're getting sloppy. Lost product, attracted attention. Frank wants me to go down there, straighten things out personally. When? Next week. Just for a few days. He downed the scotch in one swallow. I hate leaving you, but this needs to be handled face to face. Who are you meeting with? He looked at me sharply. Why, just curious. You never really talk about your work. There's a reason for that, Kat. The less you know, the safer you are. I let it drop. Pushed too hard and he'd get suspicious. The FBI had warned me about that. Play it natural. Don't force it. Over the next 3 months, I became someone I didn't recognize. Someone who smiled at her husband over breakfast while wearing a wire. Someone who memorized conversations and reported them to federal agents. Someone who searched through Vincent's papers when he was asleep, photographing documents with a camera the FBI had given me. I learned things I wish I'd never learned. About the heroin operation that brought in $5 million a month. About the judges and politicians on the Luciano family payroll. About the bodies buried in construction sites throughout Brooklyn and Queens. I learned that Vincent had personally killed at least 7 men. The first when he was 19. The most recent just last year. And the worst part of me still loved him. Still remembered the man who brought me coffee in bed and held me when I cried and promised me the world. But that man was a fiction. A mask. The real Vincent Marcello was a monster, and I was helping to put him in a cage. In April, Vincent took me to dinner at an expensive restaurant in Manhattan. Private room, wine that probably cost more than most people made in a month. He seemed different that night. Nervous, happy. I have something to tell you, he said, taking my hand. My heart stopped. He knew. Somehow he'd found out, and this was the end. We're going to have a baby. For a moment, I didn't understand what he'd said. Then it hit me. What? You're pregnant, Kat. 6 weeks. I know because I saw the test in the bathroom trash. I'd taken the test 2 weeks ago. Had been in denial ever since. Had told myself it wasn't real, that I'd deal with it later, that I couldn't be pregnant because that would complicate everything. Vincent, I know you're scared, but baby, this is wonderful. This is what we've wanted. A family. He was crying now, actually crying with joy. Our child, Kat, our future. I wanted to scream, wanted to tell him there was no future, that in 2 months the FBI would arrest him and I'd disappear into witness protection and our child would grow up never knowing their father. Instead, I smiled. I'm happy, I lied. That night, I called Detective Reeves from a payphone. We have a problem. What kind of problem? I'm pregnant. Silence on the other end. Then, Jesus Christ, I can't do this anymore. I can't bring a child into this situation. Mrs. Marcello, we're so close. We have almost everything we need. Just a few more weeks and I'm carrying Vincent's baby. If I testify against him, this child grows up knowing their mother destroyed their father. If I don't testify, this child grows up visiting their father in prison anyway. There's no good outcome here. There's an outcome where you and your child are safe. Where you get to raise them away from this life, away from the violence and the fear. Isn't that worth fighting for? He was right. I knew he was right. How much longer? 1 month. We need recordings of the meeting with the Miami connection. That's the final piece. With that, we can take down the entire operation. 1 more month of lies. 1 more month of risking my life and my baby's life. Okay, 1 month. Vincent left for Miami on a Monday. He'd be gone for 3 days, meeting with the suppliers who were causing problems. This was it, the FBI's chance to record the whole operation, to get evidence that couldn't be disputed in court. And I was going with him. You're not leaving me here for 3 days, I'd told him. Not in my condition. He'd resisted at first, said it was too dangerous, that I shouldn't be around the business. But I'd cried, I'd begged, I'd told him I was scared to be alone. Finally, he'd agreed. The FBI fitted me with a better wire. More sophisticated, harder to detect. They briefed me on what to listen for, what questions to ask if the opportunity arose naturally. Don't be a hero, Reeves warned me. You're there to observe and record. Nothing else. If things go wrong, you get out. How will I know if things are going wrong? He didn't answer. Didn't have to. We both knew that if things went wrong in a room full of mobsters, I wouldn't have time to get out. Miami was hot, oppressive. We stayed at a hotel in South Beach. Expensive and discreet. The kind of place where people minded their own business and didn't ask questions. The meeting was that night. A restaurant called Vesuvio, Italian food and Cuban cigars and private rooms where men could conduct business without interruption. You'll wait in the hotel, Vincent told me. I'll be back by midnight. Can't I come? I'll just sit quietly. I won't say a word. Kat, these are not nice men. They don't bring their wives to business meetings. Please, I don't want to be alone. He studied my face, and I saw the war happening behind his eyes. The part that loved me, that wanted to protect me, fighting against the part that knew this was wrong. Love won. Okay, but you don't speak, you don't even look at them. You just sit there and look beautiful, and when I tell you to leave, you leave. Understood? Understood. The restaurant was exactly what I'd expected. Dark wood, dim lighting, the smell of garlic and expensive cologne. We were escorted to a private room where 3 men were already waiting. I recognized one of them from photographs the FBI had shown me. Carlos Ramirez, major player in the Miami drug trade, connected to Colombian cartels, suspected in at least a dozen murders. He smiled when he saw me. It was not a nice smile. Vincent, you didn't mention you were bringing a guest. My wife, she's just here to keep me company. Won't interfere with business. Your wife. Carlos looked me up and down like I was a piece of meat. Beautiful. You're a lucky man, Vincent. I sat in the corner, hands folded, trying to be invisible. The wire was recording everything. Every word, every name, every incriminating detail. They talked about shipments, about routes, about how much heroin was moving through Miami and New York. About payments and percentages and who was skimming and who needed to be dealt with. The problem is New York, Carlos said, lighting a cigar. Too much heat from the feds. They're watching everyone. Wiretaps, surveillance, informants. Someone's talking. We're handling it, Vincent said. Are you? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like your operation is falling apart. Frank Costello Jr., he's getting sloppy. And when bosses get sloppy, people die. Frank's solid. Frank's paranoid. He thinks everyone's a rat. Last month, he had 3 of his own guys killed because he thought they were talking to the FBI. 3 loyal men, dead, because Frank's losing his mind. Vincent's jaw tightened. What are you saying, Carlos? I'm saying maybe it's time for new leadership. Maybe Frank needs to retire. That's not how this works. You don't just retire from this life. No. Carlos leaned back, blowing smoke toward the ceiling. You don't, but accidents happen. People get killed. New people step up. That's how it's always worked. I realized what I was hearing. They were planning to kill Frank Costello Jr. And Vincent was part of it. The conversation continued for another hour. Names, dates, plans. All of it being recorded by the wire taped to my skin. All of it enough to send everyone in this room to prison for life. Finally, Vincent stood. We should go. My wife needs rest. Carlos nodded. Think about what I said, Vincent. About new leadership. You could go far in this organization. All the way to the top. I'll think about it. We left the restaurant. Didn't speak in the cab. Didn't speak in the elevator. As soon as we were in the hotel room, Vincent poured himself a drink. You heard all that. It wasn't a question. Yes, Kat, you can never repeat what you heard tonight. Not to anyone. Not even to me. Do you understand?